It's good to be here.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
And it's good to welcome everybody else who's listening in to the Decibel Wines podcast. Second episode as the new Decibel Wines podcast. It used to be the Wine is Food podcast.
Okay.
And
So
now we're unashamedly sponsored by Decibel Wines.
I'm just a new follower, so I didn't
Yeah.
know about the first version actually.
You are my second Frenchman,
Really?
but
So-
number one right now. Number one in my heart, though.
Oh,
Okay.
so nice. I hope that Guillaume is not listening.
Yeah, he's too busy with a new baby to
Yeah,
be
true.
listening. So don't worry. We're here with Pierre Simonet. Did I say that? I said that.
Yeah,
good,
well, Pierre Simonet will be enough, but Pierre Simonet, if you want, it's up to you.
And you said you listened in on a few of these podcasts, so you have somewhat of an idea of what you're in for. But basically, we're talking about how you got here, how you ended up here, what your thoughts are, and I expect nothing less but strong opinions from somebody from France on winemaking and wine and things like that. But I do. The only thing I think I know about your past is, well, two things. I know you're from a unique region of France, and
Yeah.
I know that you went to University of Bordeaux. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I respect your opinion on some things and your palate on some things. So I have some more questions for you.
All right.
So you were born. Where were you born?
No,
Let's
well, I was born in Tunisia.
I just asked you this on our sound test,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I was like, I got to ask that again
You
because I didn't know you were
didn't
born
know
in
about
Africa.
that.
No, I
So
didn't.
well, it's we used to travel a lot with my father when I was kid. My father used to work in industry making factories for bricks,
Mhm.
and was working for a big company, and that was leading the mondial market of the bricks factories. So he was
Okay.
coming to a place. In 1 year, he built factories of bricks, and go away to some other place. So we've been traveling when we were kids.
Mhm.
And my family ended up in Tunisia for 10 months. And when I left Tunisia myself, I was 9 months old.
Oh.
That was the last time in my life I crossed that border, actually. Yeah,
So
I used to live close to it in Algeria later on, but never came back to Tunisia.
Could you be a Tunisian citizen? If you
I
wanted?
I could have been a Tunisian citizen, but when I was 18 years old, you have to go to the military office in France and say that you're going to do or not your military duties for the patrie.
I thought I had my first
No, well, sorry. Well, it's
podcast
kind
person
of,
from Africa.
but
Yeah.
so they'd say to me that because I was from 79, that's my date of birth
Mhm.
as well. So you get nearly the whole lot in one question.
Mhm.
And there was no military duty in France. But if I want to keep my Tunisian citizenship, I have to go straight away to Tunisia for 2 years of military duty in the country I've never been.
Yeah,
I've just
you
been
might
1
wanna-
month. So I say, well, okay.
Vive la France.
Exactly, and I say, well, probably France should be a better place to stay. So I will unfortunately leave my nationality, my Tunisian nationality beside me. Yeah,
And then
that's how it ended up. It's quite sad. I know.
And then childhood, where you went to.
To a little bit everywhere, South America and Africa mainly, and a little bit of Europe. And then I came back to France when I was 14 years old, something like that, a little bit before, probably 13 years old,
Mhm.
and finished my study in Biarritz,
Where's
my
that?
school. Biarritz is that's the most beautiful place in France, like the really close to Spanish border on the Atlantic coast, so the southwest really, and it's the Pays Basque, the Basque Country.
Yeah. Basque
Euskadi in
Because
Euskara.
I knew that about you. I knew
Yeah.
you were from Basque Country.
So I'm from
but,
there. So Biarritz is just on the coast of the Basque Country, like 30 kilometers from Spain.
And for our, people who want to Google it and things like that, how do you spell that?
Biarritz,
Yeah.
B-I-A-R-R-E-T-Z.
Oh, I'll put that up on
Biarritz.
the website as well too. But just
Yeah.
for
Nice place.
lazy people that are just
Yeah.
listening and they want to look it up right
Exactly.
away. But so yeah, I knew you were from Basque Country, which
Yeah. So that's how I
is-
ended there. My
is-
family is from there actually.
and so is it true that Basque Country they kind of are on their own, sort of?
No, they have they probably their own idea of life and
Yeah.
and how you're supposed to spend your time on Earth.
Mm.
So they are a little bit different of all the people around. and never be really happy to be either French or Spanish, because there is a big part of Spain, the north of Spain, that is Basque Country as well. It's across the border. And so there is some people who's not really agree about what France, Spain or Europe or the rest of the world is doing, so they like to explain it to other people, sometimes in some strange way with some bottle of gas put next to a post office or something like that. Sometimes they try to speak with other people, and that's probably the best way, and that's the way I prefer myself.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And so you went through like high school.
So high school there, then I've been to university for biology for 3 days, give up. Then go to study history 6 months, then give up, then go to work with my father because I was a little bit fed up after me not doing anything.
Yeah.
So
understandable.
I decide to study, go to pass some exam, to go to school for public buildings, like builder, but high level engineer or something like that. And that, and on the other hand, viticulture and enology. They say me yes, both of them. And
you were like a double major in
I was like
engineering?
just to enter those study, you have to pass some exam, and I passed both of those exams. And then I have to decide, and I decide just probably go to Bordeaux region and study wine. Sounds a little bit more cool than build houses. So that was that was my plan. So that's where I came to Bordeaux region, and after that, working in different region, mainly Bordeaux region, and changing each 6 months, going to the South Hemisphere. So mainly Chile and Argentina. And then
you were doing harvest there.
Yeah, harvest there, working 3-4 months, something like that, and just changing to the Northern Hemisphere and working.
Do you like it down there? What was your favorite?
Oh yeah, well, I like it. My favorite, my part of my heart stay in Chile anyway.
Yeah.
And I spent a really good time there. When I was a kid, I spent 3 years in Argentina, so I have something with South America anyway. And met a lot of great people, drink probably some of the wine I prefer on earth. But it's happened in lots of places I've been enjoying anyway.
Yeah, you seem to enjoy yourself here as well.
Goes well.
I think we're going to be joined by Ciao. Come on in. It's okay. It's Joanna, okay. Yeah. You could be like the producer of the podcast.
Good evening.
It's all laid back and it's all fine. We have guests come in and out all the time. That's fine. You just say bonjour and do your thing. Bonjour.
Bonsoir, Joe.
So, what were your favorite wines in Chile?
Oh, there was quite a few. I've been tasting some interesting things from Montes Alpha. That's why sometime when I find some here, quite happy too. I found here as well in New Zealand a couple of years ago, probably not more than a couple of years ago, a bottle of Misiones de Rengo. That's something really good, and they used to make a Carmenère reserve there that was beautiful, but that was back in the 2000 or 2001. So I don't know if it is still that quality.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it here back. And Los Bascos, Cuyenne, all those are from the Colchagua Valley. That was the place I was working, and I get quite excited with those wines.
We just got served some dinner. I have to let people know that are listening in that we're in this. You'd think it was a sleepy village here of Hamawana, which is out near the beach.
What it is?
It basically is the beach here in Hawke's Bay. And it's pretty busy out there. A lot of cars go by.
We're living on a main road of Hamawana, so it is if it's quite busy, but it's not like Paris in the main the hard hours. It's just like probably 2 cars per 5 minutes, and it's a busy time now. I mean, it's just you should come here in the morning at 7 o'clock. It's just you can't stand it.
Just usually rush hour in Hawke's Bay is done by like 5:15. The roads are empty, but
there is hardly anybody.
So Chile, they're Carmenère,
Sauvignon Blanc, really nice Sauvignon Blanc, really fresh Sauvignon Blanc if you compare with the hot climate that they have. Really interesting Cabernet Sauvignon. Sorry. Some good Syrah as well. mainly the same variety that we find here, but the thing that you can't really that you hardly find anywhere else is the Carmenère anyway. So great Carmenère and great Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc from the Casablanca Valley as well. It's like a small area. It was just the start when I was there myself. It's just a great place.
Okay.
Keep freshness and get things really ripe. Really
and
Argentina for vintage as well.
Yeah.
Mendoza, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I've heard. I mean, obviously there's Malbec everywhere from Argentina, but I've heard from a lot of people that a lot of the best sort of Cabernet doesn't leave the country.
I made really interesting. I was working for Rothschild and work with. He had a joint venture in Mendoza with Nicolas Catena.
Yeah, they're kind of the guys.
So you may know Catena Zapata and all those stuff.
It seems to me that the French, and it's understandable because they were, and I want to talk to you about that in a little while. But the French were some of the first truly flying winemakers to start operations and partnerships in South America.
Yeah. Well, they put a lot of money there. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of.
We're not talking about like.
It is both things. I mean,
there's probably guys like you and I that, go back and forth to work harvest, but these guys were like, major corporations that have operations in France and operations in South America.
Yeah. You're right. When I was working in Chile, I was working for a winery that belonged to Lafite Rothschild as well. So it was same kind of group anyway and connections. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, there was a lot of winery bodegas in Chile and Argentina belonging to Moet and Chandon, things like that. Quite known anyway. So, and a lot of the major winemakers from Europe and mainly from France and Bordeaux region were going there as a consultant all the time. So it was like quite linked anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because a couple of the guys like from Italy that I talked to, in podcasts I did last year, and one of the things they both said was that they really, they were both on their way to doing a harvest in France. And they both said that they were really, eager to go there because of the sort of mentality of French winemaking and whether, Italy is probably a little more, I don't know, rural. Rural is probably not the right word.
No, because there is as well big companies as well in Italy. But I do understand what you mean.
Yeah, mentality of
the difference as well is there is something that we as flying winemakers, if you want to name that like that, and you're one of those. We are. Yeah, I mean, and all the people you've been talking with on that podcast as well was the same.
Yeah,
and. I mean, you're going there, you're working for companies that are able as well to communicate about their job offer. So you're going most of the time to like the majors, okay, sort of. So you don't really understand as well. You can have a view of what's going around, but you don't really go in that deeply neither. I mean, if you go to France, you're going to go as well to some big places and probably don't really realize that there is as well a lot of probably
tiny
80% is rural.
Yeah.
Is rural winemaking anyway.
Yeah.
And it will be the same in Spain, it will be the same in Portugal, it will be the same everywhere, that it is culturally for a long time into that civilization or into those people.
Sure, but would you say that maybe because you just grew up with it and maybe don't see it, but even I see it as far as working in the industry that the mentality overall of French winemaking is something it's sort of the original big business or, serious winemaking that for the world. I mean,
I will not going to complain about that. What you say,
and
anyway.
I think that to this day, a lot of the research and groundbreaking things have started there and still go on there. And there's, many companies out of there. It seems like if you want equipment, it's a lot of times out of Italy and Germany. And if you want biological stuff and research and all the interesting things like that, that's all out of France.
Well, it's mainly there. You're right. I mean, it's mainly there. I can't say no in that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
And did you? So you backtrack a second. But you went to, was it University of Bordeaux?
It's not university. It's kind of a technical school.
Yeah.
it's a degree. I will. There is nothing that I can. It's just not. Yeah, it's kind of EIT. Yeah. EIT will be a good example. Like that study that you do in 3 years, like viticulture and enology in the same time.
Yep.
That should be roughly the same thing. So studying that, really practical, really easy for me. I'm a really bad student, so good for me to have something I can understand straight away. What is it for? And that was for me the perfect point. And that was probably that helps me to keep going on that way, as well as meeting plenty of great people coming from different regions of France. Everybody involved on wine as a kid of a family making wine since I don't know how many generations, or just people passionate about it. So having dinner, spending time drinking, talking about life, making the world again.
Yeah.
I don't know
solving the world's problems.
Exactly. And so we should have probably record all that. Yeah, all the solutions were there.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. We can probably do it again.
In fact.
So we need a little bit of help as well.
All right, we're gonna pause for a second.
Yeah.
And we're back with. Sorry, we had to pause there for a second to fill up some glasses of wine and eat some food. The European way.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of doing podcasts with New World people, and we don't eat and drink enough nearly during the podcast. But
no, come on, I can cook you chicken if you want.
No,
if you're hungry
should be
enough.
good. I think this will be enough. A bit of Chenin Blanc from Esque Valley.
From Esque Valley, yeah.
Which is fantastic. And a great place.
Which is great, actually. I mean,
a great place that you landed. That was first place you went to work when you got to New Zealand?
No. In fact, just after South America, I want to learn English. I've never been to any country speaking English, even with my father who was traveling all the time. Mm-hmm. As a perfect French guy, he didn't like English people, so never talk English at all. So I decided to, and we've been like 10 of us studying together, traveling all around the show. And I was the only one going to South America or to any Spanish-speaking country. And all the others, America, Australia, New Zealand. Mm-hmm. Came back to Bordeaux region, asked to a friend, well, I want to go to any English-speaking country. And he was just coming back from Hawke's Bay, Hatton Estate in Gibble Gravels. Small winery, some of the best wine I ever taste from New Zealand, honestly. Absolutely. Well, honestly, I can say that all the time. It's all the time honest anyway. But so I came here in 2005 the first time, spent a vintage here in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You told me. And who'd you work for then?
Hatton Estate.
Oh, you did work for Hatton. Okay.
So Hatton we're just following. I mean, that friend was coming back from there, just sent an email and say, well, I've got a good friend who wants to go to work. He's a good worker and was lying a little bit at this time. And but that was a good way for me to improve. And I ended up here meeting David, so French winemaker who studied in Bordeaux as well, in the same place as me, who's coming from Jurançon, 80 kilometers from my place, and who was working in the same region of the world as myself. So we've been talking the same language. I've been really like a good how to say that? Good link, good feeling anyway.
Distant cousins.
Exactly. Yeah, well, not that distant, 80 kilometers from my place. It's actually not that much. Anyway, so came there and came back to France to study, mm-hmm. and make a degree in wine marketing.
Oh, okay.
And Saint Guillaume that you had in podcast or whatever we call
the
it,
infamous
like
Guillaume.
Exactly. Everybody knows Guillaume. Yeah. So send him here the vintage after, and he stays on. Okay, he's still here in New Zealand, as you all know, obviously.
Yes.
And came back to study in France. Work for a wine label, for a wine shop for a while, and then for a wine label company, making design and marketing for wineries. Mm-hmm. And met Joanna in that time as well, a little bit early when I just came back from New Zealand. And we decided to go out for a trip and came back to New Zealand. Had a work and holiday visa and came back here, and I spent the vintage 2008 here in Hawke's Bay again, in Alpha Domus, where Guillaume, my friend, was already working, and we've been working together. And after traveling and coming back to France, get bored and say, well, what are we going to do now? We saved a little bit of money and came back a third time to New Zealand in Esque Valley this time for vintage 2012, the worst in my whole life.
You weren't exactly racking up great years either. Was it 05 was some frost or something?
Yeah, but I wasn't there. I mean, I wasn't here myself.
Yeah.
I mean, for all my experience so far.
What were you at Hatton? What year?
2005. Sorry, yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as it wasn't as bad as what I get here this year. Yeah,
miserable.
sorry. So and I stay on. They didn't find a way to get rid of the French guy, and I'm still there. So
they need good people around here. So.
Yeah, well, I'm happy that they find me, and I hope that I will fit in that
it's funny,
description.
It's like they lose a lot of good people here.
Oh yeah,
I
they
think
do.
A lot of good people
want
to come here, but they just need to be a little more proactive in keeping us.
Yeah.
Which we were just speaking about before, visas and all that kind of
exactly.
stuff. So
that's our way.
You did get to experience an awesome harvest this year, though, and
this year was a great one.
Gordon
anyway.
would be smiling and happy, and I remember I stopped in to actually just to trade some music with him, and I think it was 11, which was raining and everything as well. Very tough year, and that is a guy who wears it on his sleeve. It was, I mean, I was not in the greatest mood about harvest anyway, but you know, that guy lives and breathes his fruit as it comes in, and he was just, was so depressed. I stopped in the winery, it was a rainy day, and he was just like, oh, this is the worst I've ever seen. And, you know,
if you talk to you've been talking about rural before, but if you go to whatever of those little wineries or vineyards in Italy or Spain or France or wherever, it's each year the worst year ever. And at the end, when they have everything in the barrel, it's the best year ever. I mean, they are all the time find a way to complain anyway and say, it's the worst year in 20 years. Yeah, but you say that last year as well.
And you had good harvests when you were in South America. Is it like really consistent? Like, for instance,
I never had any bad in South America. I mean, in Chile, the two vintages I've done. Let me remember in my poor brain, 2003 and 2004 were great. I mean, 2003 was amazing.
But is it like
2004 was great?
How much you know about Napa? But they had supposedly a tough vintage when I was there in 2011. Yeah. And I thought, you guys got to be joking me. This is easy. Like, you know, it's still
sure.
Well,
I do agree with you. For them, it wasn't the best year ever. But for me, it was quite fun and nice and easy to work with. I mean, nothing as bad as what I used to add in Bordeaux region, or even here last year, if we came back to that one.
Yeah, I think you probably can, much like Jenny, who I work with, who did 17 years in Bordeaux. Winemaker shines in those tough years.
Mm-hmm, exactly. I mean, just to come back to that. You're right with 2005. 2005 years wasn't easy at all. But I've been lucky myself. I came to New Zealand 3 times before. I mean, 3 times so far, sorry. 2005 was a tough year. 2008 was not that good. 2012 was horrible. And at the end, I was just asking myself, is it a good idea to plant any vine in New Zealand, actually? And 2013 was the best year I ever had as well. I mean, conditions like that were just perfect.
Yeah, you missed 9 and 10 were really good.
And I do, and I mean it's the same in I had some really poor years and some great years, some other places as well. But as you say, when you have a tough year, it's the best. I mean, you show all your abilities. When you have a great year like last year, you just have to just help. Not even help, just look at it and look and just say, okay, keep going this way, and whatever you're going to put yourself, your own human finger in that whole thing, can just damage the whole, the whole process. So, I mean, if you're smart enough, just look after your wine last year. It's just like the perfect year to not be a winemaker actually. And with few advice, whoever was able to make a good one last year, then the only difference is the winemaker will make a great wine. Yeah, it's like
everybody will make good,
but winemakers will make the difference.
Winemakers will make great.
Yeah, and great winemaker will be even well. Let's not talk about that, please.
Anybody who screws it up,
they
don't know what they're doing. Going back to styles, and we'll talk about Cabernet.
I love your T-shirts, for example. If you're talking about style,
I have my my Tuscany T-shirt on of a wild boar drinking
You should put
wine.
a picture of that on your website so people will understand what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give that a try. Go to decibelwinespodcast.com to see. By the time this goes up, you'll be able to see what Pierre's face looks like.
Quite a sensual
It
voice.
is. It's pretty important.
Yeah.
As I said, our sponsor is
Mm.
Decibel Wines, as people listening all over the world.
Eat something, please, instead of.
Thank you. And but going back to wine styles, so Cabernet Mendoza,
Yeah.
Cabernet Hawke's Bay, Cabernet Bordeaux.
Oh, tough question.
It is. That's why we're
Tough
here today.
question, yeah.
I asked the tough questions. That's how I got this job.
Okay, okay. Talking about style, I like your style anyway, as well, and your way of thinking. Cabernet in Bordeaux. It's a hard question. I mean, it's a great place to grow Cabernet. For
what
example,
would you say are closer? Argentina is probably warmer, so maybe Chile.
What do you mean?
Hotter climate in most of the Argentina, Mendoza. So, would you say is it warmer climate than?
It's warmer in Chile for where I was working. The warmest place was in Chile. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, warmest ever, and no rain at all. Really dry.
Okay.
So hardly any rain. So it is really different. I get the wine style are completely different. If you go to Chile, you're going to have something really ripe with the tannins completely melted.
Yeah.
And so if you put whatever aging with barrel, I mean, and staying on the same wine style as well, if you want to be able to compare it, if you give it a little bit too much barrel, it's going to get just the oaky side. You just need it's just something you have to work differently. If you go to Bordeaux region, you get really strong tannins. Okay, the whole wine is led by that, and obviously the black fruits and everything. But those tannins are leading the thing. The barrel aging, we're going to help you to soft all that and round the edge. Here, it is for me. It's we get really different Cabernet Sauvignon, depend really of the clone you get. I mean, but it is as well as interesting. I've been tasting here some Cabernet Sauvignon from Gimel Gravels. And they remind me, depend of the year, you can get something that make you think about Bordeaux in a good year, in a ripe year, and make me think about a Chilean wine in a cold year and not really ripe.
Okay.
So it will be like in between, and depend really what you can get. I mean,
well, I guess Cabernet.
But it's really different style. I do like the Cabernet here because it's more drinkable. It's not as opulent as the one in Chile. Okay, but the one in Bordeaux need aging. You can't drink that one straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to it now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been studying there. I've been drinking Cabernet Sauvignon with just straight new barrel after 24 months. Straight away, we've been drinking it because it was Bordeaux region, and you get the wine and you can't sell, you can't keep it. You're a student, you want to drink it. So let's be fair. So you get used to all those big tannins, but they were big wine and great wine, and if you're able to understand what it's going to be, you just enjoy it anyway. But Bordeaux wine needs aging. Here it's easier, and in Chile it's even easier.
And do you think because of here, it has to do with maybe a cleaner fruit expression because of the younger soils and things like that? Or is it just the tannin really that you're thinking about?
I'm thinking about a little bit everything. But
because I think, one of the best things about, or say appealing things about New Zealand wine overall, but certainly applies to Hawke's Bay, is that sort of bright primary fruit. And I think that goes for everything across the board. Whereas because of the young soils, that you get something, you get a crop a little bit heavier. And sometimes far heavier, and keep the fruit and keep the texture and keep things still dense. Yeah, that's something different. And I find here anyway, anything's growing really fast, far faster than wherever else. Yeah, I don't know what they put in their soil. I mean, volcanoes. It's just volcanoes and just untouched soils, and that's how it is. I mean, they are just really healthy, and that's how it is. Yeah, I think it's healthy,
it definitely help anyway.
I think it's wine winemaking with UV light as opposed to just
And-
that heat spike that you probably get in France.
And then there is also something else. I mean, your question is tricky as well because the history of the wine or the winemaking is completely different in those three countries you've been talking about.
Yeah.
Here, it's still really, really young. You're still
So yeah.
trying to find and putting plenty of grapes from the northern Rhone to the southern of the Portugal
Yeah, it's
in
crazy.
the same place.
It's crazy.
And trying to make something good each year. We've been ourselves putting one grape variety or two or three in the same place after 3,000 years trying to find a good place to put it.
Yeah.
Putting on the good, well, not the good density, but we have decided to put that grape variety with that density in that place because we've been thinking about it. In Chile, it's in between. I mean, the first guy who planted grapes were the guy from the Spanish guy, Catholic mainly. So they need to have that Christ blood. So they need to plant vines everywhere where they were going. So it's like 500 years now, the winemaking in Chile. Now we start in the last 30 or 40 years, we start to hear about it, 30 years, because plenty of French people or European people, even North American people, put a lot of money and develop that.
Yeah.
But they used to have a winery there since 500 years making wine. I mean, and they have as well trying to find the good places where to plant it, how to plant it, and this is how it is.
Now, there's a famous story out of
I guess.
Argentina.
Yeah.
That for years the Malbec was thought as Cabernet, and then finally somebody in the 70s or something. Now that's not true.
Sorry, it's probably true. But what is famous as well is that in the 70s, somebody came into Chile, and they were confused with in between. They were finding like some Merlot had a strange taste, and that guy make a check. What I can't explain you that in English because I'm not that technical in English.
He
But
did
anyway,
that.
you check it, and it was Carmenère. Because Malbec was still in France, so they haven't found any. They probably find any Malbec hide in Argentina and get confused. But anyway, in Chile, what they've done is they've been mixing up Merlot with Carmenère, and the Carmenère after the phylloxera in Europe disappeared completely. But it was still in Chile, so they bring it back to the Bordeaux region where it was originally coming from, and plant it again. Well, it's still like tiny, less than 1% of Bordeaux region is planted with Carmenère, but it was like something like the crazy story of the history of those grapes coming with the European in the first way, disappearing from Europe, coming back, being discovered again.
Yeah.
So yeah, Carmenère came back to Bordeaux this way.
Have you ever tasted any Carmenère from Bordeaux?
No, never.
Yeah, it's
Never,
curious.
ever. Yeah.
Well, the question I had asked earlier then is going back to Cabernet in Argentina, because you thought they were some great wines.
Yeah.
They're sort of like the ones they keep within the country, or maybe just the premium wines that we don't see as much in the market.
I mean, you probably see that yourself more often than me.
Yeah,
You're coming from America, you're coming from America where there is a strong wine industry, but there is as well open mind to be able to import wine from somewhere else.
Very
Instead
much.
of France, it's really hard to find any wine coming from somewhere else. Or if you find something, it's going to be expensive and it's going to be the bottom of the tank.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's definitely not, it's definitely easier for you to find it. So for us, we need to go overseas and taste things. I mean, even for American wine, it's really hard to find any.
It's
And in
tough to find.
UK is quite open, but France is really conservative. And there is, in Bordeaux, coming back to Bordeaux, for example, that's a really conservative region. There is a little wine shop that opened in between Pauillac and Margaux, and the guy is just selling wine from everywhere. Southeast of France, Italy, Spain, America, New Zealand, Australia, and as well some Bordeaux. But it is great to see that as well. That's something that could not happen before. I mean, they will probably have all the guys from around saying, no, it's not going to work. And actually, it's not going to work because nobody wants it.
Yeah,
but now the people start to have that open mind. We've been traveling enough to understand there is some good stuff as well around. Argentina, but as well New Zealand, as well Australia sometime. Yeah. But it's like that, and then the mind are opening slowly but surely.
And what's going on in France these days? You were just back there last month. And
Yeah, I spent 4 weeks in France for holiday.
and
So
what you had some mixed feelings coming back out of it, but you were on holiday too.
I was on holiday, so it was easy for me. But even on holiday, I feel like well, anyway, I spend my whole time eating and drinking. So let's start with the positive part.
That's good.
I've seen my friends, my family. I spent a great time, 35 degrees, the beach and everything fine. So, but if you look a little bit deeper, you find that people are still stressed, even on holiday. But I probably just forgot about that part. Being in New Zealand, it's
Sure.
quite relaxed, and as well see the sometimes a little bit of the misery of the people with homeless in the street or living behind bridges and things like that. And you forgot easily about that kind of not ugly, but not really enjoyable part of your country when you go away for a couple of years.
I see it when I go home.
Exactly. You
villages
just discover something. So yeah, still strongly French, but there is plenty of things that I don't really appreciate on what I see when I come back anyway.
Yeah, no, it's sort of interesting to come back to New Zealand and see it's like a bit of a fresh start here, and it's like a reboot, and which can only, obviously, like I said, you want to keep it positive, and you want to.
But that's the thing. A lot of disappointment, even for friends of us, that it's not doesn't look that it's going that bad, and they are not really positive about life or the future or whatever. It's quite sad for young people, like you're not even 35 years old, and you're already like, oh fuck, it's just it's not going to be as good as we've been dreaming.
No.
So, I mean, life is like that anyway. But just thinking about it when you still have no pressure on life. For most of them,
and
so that's the thing. Here it's relaxed if you compare with whatever else. If you compare with France, it's far more relaxed. So that's why you get a little bit out of those things.
Yeah, no,
I get my first traffic jam straight away. Going down the plane, I see more cars in half an hour that I've seen here in 1 year and a half.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah, I've got a big trip coming up, and I'm like, I better get some.
Do I open the window? No, I prefer to get it clear.
Some good podcasts ready to listen to, because I'm going to be in some bad traffic areas and stuff.
All right.
So now you've got a cool job at Esk Valley. You've sort of solidified your position there, though things are constantly developing for Villa Maria Wine Group, and you've one of how many Europeans in that group that you know?
I have no idea.
There
is another French in Auckland, I know.
Oh, okay.
There is a few Italian guys. I mean, from Italian family, so I don't really know if they are like first generation or second or fifth one. I don't know. But I mean, well, and if you look a little bit, George Fistonich is the son of an immigrant guy coming from Croatia, exactly. And so, I mean, you can find easily somebody coming from overseas here in New Zealand.
Well, yeah, sure.
I don't have that many people. There is a guy he was New Zealand as well. Yeah, no. I received an email and talking about my way of making up shit, and I was making like the working shit in French to make my co-workers learn a little bit of French. And I get an email from my direction in Auckland saying to me, "Not in French, in English, it's better, because if you have any audit or whatever, it should be understandable by everybody." So I was like, "Oh no!" and everybody was a little bit sad at Esk, like, "Oh no, it's not fair." So I sent an email saying, "Okay, in English." So and he answered me in French. The guy spent like 2 vintages in French. He was talking like, "Oh yeah, my friend," and blah blah. And that was quite friendly. But after being told off to not speaking in French, you receive an email full French. You don't really understand. But so for all I know, there is one French guy
for an audit. Like you can't go to Google Translate.
Yeah, exactly, or whatever you want. Anyway, so yeah, that's. But I don't know a lot of strangers.
Either way, I think that's a pretty good outfit, and they make good wines. They're certainly.
It's
great wines. I should say.
Yeah, it's simple. I've sent an email when I came back here. We decided to stay here in New Zealand, to come back and stay here. I've sent email to all the winery in Hawke's Bay, every single winery, and I received few answers, and one from Esk Valley. And I came here twice, never tasted any of those wine of Esk Valley before, believe me or not, and. Talk with some friends, remember the name of it and the quality that was attached to the name as well, and say yes to the offer, and then after the vintage they keep me a little bit more, and then they keep me even more, and now I'm taking a little bit more, taking over some responsibilities and getting more involved myself, so that make me as well more excited. And I think things are quite simple there for me. I'm making wine in the way I like it, and I'm making wine I do like to make and to drink. So that's the main thing. I mean, that's the main thing. And the good point for me, the great point for me is Esque Valley is a really old and a little bit dodgy winery.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it's really cool. And so it's remind me as well France, because here you have like plenty of stainless steel and really clean places or whatever.
I can't think of an older operation around. I mean, there's
at
older.
least looking older. Yeah,
no, there's older wineries around, like Mission is old.
Yeah, but the existing facilities.
But the actual, concrete facilities and it's pretty amazing.
So that's the two things that keep me on actually, and then as well the team, because it's such a small team that become friends easily. So I mean, good. I will not be here if it wasn't a good place.
Yeah, that's good.
So.
And now you can just go out and go surfing right down the road.
Yeah, well, I'm coming from nearly the capital of the surf in France. I'm coming to one of the nice surf spots in New Zealand. I've been in most beautiful as well in Chile, working just next door to the best spot in Chile as well. And I'm not a surfer at all.
Yeah, I didn't think you were.
So no, I'm not. And even skateboards scare me, so it doesn't work that easy. I love to swim. I love to go in to do body surf, but no, not anything in the water.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I think that's just gonna about wrap us up. I think that was quick, wasn't it?
Was
even though we had a little break for food and wine.
Oh well, 2 hours and a half. That's fine. You'll make some cut, I guess.
Yeah, I'll do some editing down. Well, cool. Thanks for doing this. We'll do a.
Yeah, let's do a little one. Santé.
Santé.